And I did share with everyone in my email with the Zoom link, but we will be recording this session. So if you're not comfortable having your camera on because we're recording, that's totally fine. Just wanted to give everyone a heads up on that.
I'm having some difficulty. I'm using a new laptop and I'm not familiar. It's Sheila Wagner. I don't know if you can hear me.
We can.
Um, I,
Can you see the presentation?
yes, virtual coffee with the counselors.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. And if you go to the bottom, there should be like a little toolbar and there should be an option that says chat. And you can see people are writing in the chat and you can respond in the chat.
Okay. For some reason, my camera, I guess, is off.
It is okay if with us, if that's okay with you.
Oh, it doesn't matter. I don't know how to turn it on anyway. So I'm not very good at this stuff.
No
That's
worries.
okay. I feel like post-COVID, we're out of like the Zoom. But very well trained for all of it a couple of years ago, and now we've kind of let it lapse a little bit.
Yes.
Mhm. All right, we'll give it 2 more minutes and then we'll get started. We want to respect everyone's time, so we'll get started at 9:05.
Okay.
For those of you that joined maybe after we gave our first instruction, we're just asking everyone to write 1 or 2 words in the chat that come to mind when you think of middle school in general or your own middle school experience, anything that comes to mind when you think of middle school. And again, we will be recording this session today, so if you don't want to keep your camera on, that's totally fine. Just so we can send out a copy to everyone that could not make it today.
Well, if I knew how to turn the camera on, I would. Gosh.
No worries.
Okay.
All right, so far we're seeing social stress, independence, fun with friends, challenging, transition, more responsibility. For sure. When I think of middle school, first word that comes to mind for me is awkward. Can be an awkward time in many different ways for kids, but it's a time of some awkward growth that goes on, and we're navigating all the social stuff in middle school. So that's what comes to my mind when I think of middle school.
Yes, tremendous amount of change.
Mhm.
I love independence. Whoever wrote independence in there, because I feel like we talk about that a little bit today.
Yep.
Good.
All right, we are going to get started. So I'm just gonna minimize the chat. Jess or Sarah, if anyone puts anything in the chat, you can let me know. All right, hopefully everyone can see my screen. We're gonna get started. We just want to start off by thanking everyone for joining us today. We know that middle school can be a time of stress and uncertainty for not only students, but for parents as well. So we hope that after today's information that we provide to you will help to kind of ease some of those nerves, help you to feel supported in this transition to a new school. And during this meeting today, you're going to be meeting some different people. So you'll be meeting our full school counseling department. We'll be introducing our administration, who I'm not sure is on the meeting currently, but hopefully will join us later at some point. We will go over what a typical day at McGee looks like, which may be on your mind, maybe on your students' mind, like what happens when I enter the building? What does my day look like? So we'll go over that. We're going to talk about some tools, tips, and resources that really will help your child to have a smooth transition to McGee, and just point out some things that are different from the elementary school, because obviously there are some key differences. And we also are going to cover clubs and sports, as well as some school counseling supports. So I know that when you registered, some of you put in some questions that you had, and hopefully through the session today, we'll answer all those questions, but at the end, there will, of course, be time to ask any questions and get some clarity on anything that we did not cover. All right, so first up, we just want to introduce you to the McGee School Counseling Department. One difference from the elementary school, there are, typical social workers and school psychologists. We also have that at McGee, but we also have our school counseling department. So these grades that you see on the screen, these are the current grades. So Ms. Hughes, if you want to introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Sarah Hughes. I am the current sixth grade school counselor. So I just transitioned a crew up from elementary. I have worked here. I think I'm going into my 25th year next year. I started out at McGee as the one of the art teachers, and then after I did my master's, I transitioned into school counseling. I live down on the shoreline with my three boys. I have currently a sixth grader and an eighth grader. So my entire life is middle school right now. So I'll try to share with you some experiences I've had as a parent, having kids now going into a middle school and what that's been like.
All right, Ms. Stevenson.
Yep. I'm Jess Stevenson. I'm the seventh grade counselor this year. I've been doing this for over 20 something years. I've kind of been in different facets. I've been at the high school for a little bit. Then middle school has been most of my career. I worked at DCF for a little bit. I've done private practice. So I've kind of done everything kind of in like the mental health realm. In my personal time, I'm a big traveler. My husband travels for work. So in the summers, which is happening very soon, I get to kind of join him on his travels for work. So it's a time kind of just to like reconnect and explore a little bit.
Nice.
And I'm Ashley Barr, I'm currently the eighth grade school counselor. So I will be the sixth grade counselor for next year. And also we all loop with the students as well. So I will be your child's school counselor for the duration of their middle school experience. So just a little bit about me. Prior to coming to McGee in 2021, I was a grade 6 through 12 school counselor at a magnet school in Bloomfield. I earned my master's degree and also my undergrad from University of Connecticut. And I live in Cromwell, so I'm close by I have 3 children. So I have a 7th grader, so I'm experiencing middle school right along with you, a 4th grader and a 3rd grader. And just a fun note, my husband actually went to McGee. He's from Berlin, so I am pretty well connected to the Berlin community as his family still lives in Berlin. So just a little bit about me. All right, so now our fabulous administration team, and I'm really upset because there's supposed to be a photo on your screen, and for whatever reason, it's the only picture that will not show on this slideshow. I do not know why. I think one of the administrators did something to it so that it wouldn't show because it's a really funny day of the 3 of them from Spirit Day, and it really shows their personalities and that we all like to have fun, and I'm really upset that it's not showing. However, we do have Ms. Probe with us. Who is our Dean of Students, and she really covers the 6th grade.
Yep.
So if you want to introduce
Sure.
yourself.
I did not sabotage the photo, but it is from the Christmas concert, so I'm not super sad that it's not showing up. We are dressed in our festive best. But my name is Abby Frobe. This is my 3rd year at McGee. I'm the Dean of Students, and I work primarily with the entire 6th grade, as well as half of the 7th grade. I have 2 children of my own who are in kindergarten and 2nd grade, so not quite to middle school yet. But my role, helps support students and families. Certainly you guys can always feel free to reach out should anything come up that's of concern, while your child's here at McGee. And I try to offer support to the 6th grade teachers to help with that transition from 5th grade into 6th grade. And I'm really looking forward to meeting your students next year.
Thank you, Ms. Frobe. Don't worry, we'll send that picture out. It's a really good one. The rest of our admin team, Mr. Sullivan is our principal. He came this year, actually. He was a former principal in East Hampton, and he's been a great addition to McGee. And Mr. Constant is our assistant principal. He is also new this year. He lives in Cromwell, has kids, and is also, right along with you with, working with children and kind of experiencing the things that you're going through as parents as well. So we have a great admin team, and they're here to support your child in any way that's needed. Sorry, hold on a second. We're going to go back. Sorry. So before I play this video, the next group that you're going to meet are the sixth grade teachers. So this video just kind of introduces you to some of the faces that your students will see in the building. At McGee, the sixth graders are split by two teams. So they'll either be on team 6A or team 6B. They're both great teams. One of the questions we get is like, well, which is the better team of teachers? And honestly, I'm not just saying this, the sixth grade teachers are fabulous. No matter what team your child gets placed on, they will be in good hands. So I'm just going to play this video just to introduce you, and students will also see this video at Get to Know You Day, which I'll talk about in a minute. But I'm going to play this video. Hopefully the sound comes through okay for you.
Hey, welcome to McGee. I'm Mrs. Seibel. I teach science, and I'm looking forward to learning about the world around you, having fun doing experiments and investigations. Can't wait to see you. Hi, my name is Mrs. Burnham. I teach reading and writing for sixth grade. We are so excited to see you in the fall. I know you might be worried about your lockers, but don't worry, we'll help you with it all year long.
Hi, everybody. I'm Mrs. Mahaffey, and I'm the Team 6B math teacher. I'm so excited to see you guys next year and looking forward to all the great things we're going to learn. Thanks.
Hey everybody, I'm Mrs. McCorkle. I teach reading and writing for sixth grade, so I can't wait to see you guys next year. And you get to take a look at all our new books, and we have lots of exciting things to learn, so I can't wait to see you.
Hi everyone, I'm Mr. Centerelli. I'm the grade 6 World Regions teacher. I'm very excited to see everybody next year here at McGee School. Have a terrific summer and see you next fall.
Hi, everyone. I'm Mrs. Botticello over at McGee. I teach sixth grade math.
Mr. Pelletier, science teacher. Hello.
Mrs. Guild, special education teacher.
Hi, I'm Mrs. Tarver, sixth grade ELA reading and writing.
Hi guys, I'm Mrs. Prentice. I teach reading and writing ELA in sixth grade.
And I'm Mr. Rossi. I teach grade 6 World Regions.
We're here to tell you some bits of advice and some hints to get you ready for sixth grade. The first thing to remember is who you are. Just be yourself at McGee. Be open to new friends.
So you got a big challenge in front of you. You got a big mountain to climb. Coming into sixth grade is a big thing. And in your mind, you're all scared. You're all worried. I get it. I was once there. We were all once there. My advice to you, take it one step at a time. If you take it one step at a time, eventually you'll reach the end goal, the big game.
The good news is that you are not alone. We are actually here and we're going to support you all the way. Do know this, that the other sixth graders feel the same way that you feel the first day of school. And as teachers, we have the same energy. We're ready to meet you.
One piece of advice I have for you is to be successful here in sixth grade. You want to make sure you remain organized, turn your assignments in on time, and know that we are always here for you.
And just not to be nervous, even though we know that you're going to be a little bit stressed coming in, everybody's feeling the same way. We're going to be here to help and do everything we can to make your first couple of days at McGee run smoothly. And before you know it, you're going to know what you're doing and you're going to love being here.
And finally, embrace the opportunities that are going to be presented to you by your new classmates and your teachers. Don't be afraid to fail. Trying new things is an important step in your learning, and we really can't wait to meet you. We hope you guys have a wonderful summer, and we'll see you soon.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
All right. So before we get into transition activities, I just wanted to introduce everyone to Mr. Sullivan, who is the principal I just was talking about, and he's just going to introduce himself.
Yeah, hey everyone, thanks for your time this morning. Welcome to kind of your first introduction to McGee Middle School. Just want to go off of what I attended last night, which was our spring concert. And a great thing about McGee is all the opportunities that we offer, and the fact that the choice really is up to the student. Anything that they want to do, there is the opportunity and avenue for them to be successful, whether it's in or outside of the classroom. We take student voice and make sure that we can respect that, honor it, and make it happen if we can. You have a great team here. You just met the sixth grade team, wonderful group of teachers. They completely understand the transition between fifth grade and sixth grade. And we have a lot of caring and loving adults that are here at the middle school. So I know that it'll be a transition that sometimes, brings up some nerves, but at the same time, that's healthy. And we are here to answer any questions that you may have. And I actually just joined the McGee community in December. Absolutely loving my time here. So it'll be my first start of the year as well. And that's something that I want to reiterate to the students is that we're going through the start of the school year for the first time together. So thanks again for your time this morning and great meeting everybody.
Thank you, Mr. Sullivan. All right, so I just wanted to cover what the transition activities look like for your students, just so that you can feel comfortable and understand that they are really going to be supported in their transition to McGee. So one of the first things that we do, I mean, depending on the dates, they could either do the get to know you day first or the elementary presentation. So it looks like Willard is coming up next week on the 16th. So they will have their elementary presentation first, and then they'll come to McGee on the 19th. But just to kind of describe what both activities look like. So the elementary presentations, I'll go down to each elementary school class. So we do it by class. So it's a smaller setting with a group, with the students and the teachers that they feel comfortable with. And I do a fun Kahoot with them. So it's basically just, different questions like how many minutes is passing time at McGee? Is there a dress code at McGee? Is there a cell phone policy? And so we go through a fun game with them, and in between each question, we have conversation and chat about that. And kids, like I said, kids are able to ask questions, and they just get to see me in a more personal setting compared to the Getting to Know You Day, which is a little bit of a bigger group activity. So for Get to Know You Day, the students come over here as an entire class. We do separate it by school. So as you can see on the screen, Willard is first up on May 19th, and then we have Hubbard coming on the 20th, followed by Griswold on the 22nd. And for Get to Know You Day, they'll start off in the auditorium. They get a presentation from administration, from our music staff. They'll also hear about summer reading and library services from Ms. Turgeon. And then we break the students up into tour groups. So the groups are small. They're about 10 kids per group. And they are led by my current 8th graders that are the student leaders in the building. So they get to experience a tour and ask questions with a student that's, someone close to their age is kind of closer to, kind of what they're going through. And the 8th graders that have been selected have been trained for the tours, and they're excited to meet your students as well. So that takes place at McGee. It's about 10 a.m. to about 11:30 is when they depart. So they're here for a little bit. And again, it's not the only time that they'll get to go to the building. In late August, they'll also have an orientation where they get to come. They get to meet the teachers. They get a copy of their schedule. They also get to access their Chromebook, check out their lockers and things like that. So that will be, it's usually the day or two leading up to the first day of school. That's what it's been in the past. So you will get information about that as well. I just want to note one of the questions that was in the registration was, can I come for a tour over the summer? So you can certainly do that. It just depends on the staff that's available in the summer. So I don't work over the summer, but there is office staff that is here. So if you give the staff a call or the office a call, they would be happy to have you come in with your student if you feel like you need like an extra kind of tour of the building. Okay. So that wraps up for transition activities. So just to cover some main key differences between elementary and middle. Some of these you may already be aware of. These are just different things that I wanted to highlight. So one big change, probably the biggest change, is that they're moving from having one teacher that they're with the entire day to being on a team of teachers. So this takes a little bit of navigating, right? So every teacher has different personalities. Some teachers have different expectations. So, your child is going to have to, learn how to figure that out with a team of teachers. The great thing is that it is a team of teachers. So we meet weekly with the team to talk about progress in students, anything that's coming up that, we feel the student may need some support with. So the teachers really do work together to support your child. Just some other key differences. The class sizes are about the same. Here, they're about 15 to 20 students. Books and supplies will stay in their locker. They're not allowed to use backpacks, which is probably another big adjustment for students because you see the
Good morning, everyone. The next lucky number is 23. Please call 5503 if you have 23.
We're doing a teacher appreciation raffle thing. So you'll see the 6th graders in the hall carrying their huge stack of materials because they haven't quite figured out, I need this set of materials for the first half of my day, then I can go to my locker at this time and get my second half of materials. So organization is a big thing that comes up in middle school. Every middle schooler has this is a learning curve. Okay. So we work with the students on that. The teachers work with the students on that. I know that, you know, especially in math, they usually have like a math binder that they ask students to put together, and they have a very specific way they want students to organize it so that they can stay organized. You will get a list. This always comes up from parents. When am I going to get a list of supplies? Typically, we tell parents to get supplies, general supplies like notebooks, pens, you know, that kind of stuff, but you'll get a specific supply for each class generally. Sometimes some teachers send it out the week or two before school. Some teachers wait till school starts and then they go over it with the students in class. So it just depends on the teacher. Another key difference, elementary school, I don't know if they currently use it. I know during COVID definitely, but the use of Google Classroom is common in elementary schools. Here we use PowerSchool and Schoology, which you'll hear about in a few slides. Chromebooks, every student's given a Chromebook that they can take home that is theirs for the school year, so they can take that home to do their work. And then lastly, for supports in elementary school, it's typically social worker and school psychologists and interventionists. Here at McGee, we have all of that. We have one social worker, 2 school psychologists, the 3 of us for school counseling, and then we also have reading and math interventionists here at school. So those are just some of the key differences that your child will experience. Not all, of course, but some of the main ones. All right, so typical day at McGee, what does it look like? So this is our current schedule. There may be some changes for next year. So just to point that out, but our current school year schedule, you'll see Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. The rotation goes from period A to period F. Tuesdays and Thursdays, the rotation looks a little bit different. It starts with period D. And then you'll also see in there that we have something called directed study. That is a structured study hall. Students can get access from a teacher if they need to during that time. And again, this schedule could possibly change for next year. We're just looking at, you know, best ways to support students. But this is the general schedule. This is the time frame. Each class runs about, I think it's about 50 minutes, if I'm calculating that correctly, or a little bit below. And there's about 3 minutes passing time. We understand elementary for 5th grade coming up, they're going to need some time to navigate that. Every kid is like, well, what if I'm late to class my first week? Teachers are understanding. Most of their classes are going to be in the same general area. Exploratories, you know, sometimes it takes a little longer to get to. So we, you know, the teachers are aware that kids are figuring things out, and it may take them longer than that 3-minute passing time the first week of school. So aside from their core classes, they have 2 ELA classes, a reading and writing class, and then they have their science, their math, and their history. They do not take a language in 6th grade. That was one of the questions that came up on the registration. They will take language in 7th grade. So again, the core classes are 2 ELA, math, history, and science. And then they'll take 2 exploratory classes per trimester. So they'll have either art, STEAM, or a library class for one of their exploratories, and then the other exploratory is a mix of PE, wellness, and health. And then they also take music. So they have a choice between band, chorus, or music experience. And again, we'll go over that more as we get further into the presentation.
All right. So Mrs. Barton mentioned Schoology a little while ago. Schoology is our online management system in elementary school. I'm not sure if they still use it in your elementary school, but Google Classroom is what they typically use. We use something called Schoology. You do not get a parent login. This isn't something that we give out to parents. It's truly a tool for kids. All teachers are required to use this. You can, my suggestion is that after like the first week of school, you sit, you know, down with your student, have them take out their Chromebook. They will show you what Schoology looks like. Ask them for their login information so that if you'd like to log into Schoology at some point, you can, but we don't give out a separate parent login. Schoology is something that they're going to use it in every class, and every teacher is required to set up Schoology in the same way. That way it's just consistent for kids. They know how to easily navigate it and to find things. Basically, they'll see a folder, for the week. It will be clearly labeled. They can go into the folder. They can see if the teacher's having a slide presentation. They can see if there's any resources they need to reference. They can see if there's things that have been assigned. It's a nice tool if you have a kiddo that's homesick, but not maybe like super sick, and maybe feels better in the middle of the day and has some time to look online. Then they can kind of follow along with their class and see what they're doing. Again, if your child is really sick or misses school for some other reason, it's another tool that they can use, that they can sort of backtrack and find out what was done the days they were absent. And they actually get to access a lot of the actual assignments there, and they submit them right on there as well. I know even this year, having worked with the 6th grade math teachers, math typically tends to be a subject area where a lot is still done on paper and pencil. But even in the math classes, they've uploaded the weekly homework assignments and things like that, so that if kids missed out on something, they could print them at home and work on them on paper. Having middle school kids, our school district uses Google Classroom. I would often say to my 8th grader, can you go in Google Classroom and look to see what the assignments were? And he would love to say to me oh, you can't access it there. It's just on paper. I can tell you at McGee, you will be able to access through Schoology about 95% of all assignments and resources and things like that for students through Schoology. Another tool in Schoology is a calendar. So when they pull up Schoology for you for the first time, you'll see sort of running down the right-hand side, a calendar where it breaks down every day assignments that are due. A lot of kids use this as a checklist instead of using something like an agenda. We do still, as school counselors, try to push students using agendas, paper pencil agendas, where they can write down what their homework assignments are each day, create their own sort of checklist. I believe this year we still even gave out agendas if students wanted them. But we are in 2025, and this generation, has experienced technology differently than we have. So a lot of kids just access the calendar in Schoology as sort of their mental checklist of the things that they need to accomplish. Ashley, do we show the video about Schoology later, or does that go out to them? I'm sorry, I can't hear you. You're muted.
Sorry, I'll just send out the link for Schoology.
Okay, we'll send you a link for a video on Schoology, just sort of a brief overview. It gives a lot of the same information that I just told you. The best thing that you can do is sit down your kiddo and just sort of go through Schoology with them. Just click on all the different things, see the resources that are available in there for them. PowerSchool, I know that many of you are probably familiar with. You have your own login as a parent. Many of you have it on your phone. Up until now, it's sort of been your way to access their report cards, their final averages in classes, and things like that. This will be the first time that the students are getting graded on all assignments, and all the assignment grades are put into some sort of a program. What I try to explain to kids coming into 6th grade is that PowerSchool is like a gift that we are giving them. When we were kids, our teachers had their red little books that they wrote down every assignment and then, wrote all the grades in. And it was, truly for a teacher, their grade book. We didn't have access to it. We didn't ever see it. What we've done in, this day and age is we've given them PowerSchool, and it is the gift of being able to see inside your teacher's grade book. With that said, teachers don't have to put an assignment grade in immediately. So sometimes things will not have a grade associated with it yet. However, they can do it in real time, and you can see it in real time. So as soon as the teacher puts in a grade, it will show up on your end as well. There's a lot of codes at the bottom of PowerSchool, if you've ever noticed it before. Green checks, things that are being, eliminated from their average, little thing saying that they were absent. Our teachers are pretty good about using those codes so that you're aware, yes, it was collected, but no, it's not graded yet. Some teachers also do put zeros in as placeholders. It's not to not for the student to be in trouble. It's more to alert them that, hey, you have a zero still here because I don't have this assignment handed in yet. So, see your teacher, contact me, or, get the assignment handed in. But it's just to help alert them so that they kind of get used to the idea of them being independent, and needing to find out like, oh, did I forget to hand that in? Did I not submit it on Schoology? And then they can conference with their teacher and find out what they need to do. I can tell you personal experience. My 8th grader, I'll go into Power School probably far more frequently than I should. We'll talk about that in a second. And it'll say, he has a 0. And then I'll send him a message, which I'll also address later. And I'll be like, Ben, you have a 0 on whatever assignment it is. And he's like, oh, the teacher just didn't grade it yet. Okay, that's the most common comment that we hear also as school counselors from parents. Like, oh, I don't think the teacher graded it yet. They have a 0. I can tell you from experience, if there's been a long period of time that there's still a 0 in there and your child is still telling you that it's just because the teacher hasn't graded it yet, that you should probably check that. You should fact check that. I know, with my kiddo, it was often not necessarily true. The teachers do put them in, pretty quickly. But if you're ever concerned, you can always directly email the teacher and ask them, or first and foremost, have your child email the teacher and ask them why they have a 0 still. But Power School can be a great tool just for some parent feedback about, how your student is doing. I would suggest not checking it all day long every day. We can all get stuck doing that. Like I said, I can do that myself. And we also recommend to kids that they check, and we talk to them about this, that they check Power School like once a week, twice at most. And then they can look and see what still might be missing, or things that they really need to follow up on. And again, if you're checking it and there's a lot of things that seem missing, have your student follow up with their teacher. Sometimes it's nice. I even recommend to my own children, like, follow up with your teacher through an email, but could you maybe like CC me on it so that I can see the back and forth? I'm not going to get myself necessarily involved, but I'd like to just see that you're communicating with your teacher about what needs to get done. As Ashley had said earlier, just, organization and study habits, and sort of just getting ready to be a little bit more independent and become a really great learner. The teachers in 6th grade are amazing, and they spend so much time trying to really develop some really good habits with these kids. We know that they're coming in, and they've, in 5th grade, the teachers really started to get them ready to come to middle school, like having to study a little bit more for things, for assessments, having to be a little bit more organized, a little more independent. And then the 6th grade teachers are just going to kind of pick up right where they left off, where they're going to help them break like bigger assignments, bigger projects down into more manageable tasks, where they're going to really help lay out, structure their classes in a certain way that they have a consistent pattern that the kids get used to. Or having, like Ms. Barton said, the math teachers are really, really great about helping kids to understand organization and keeping a really strict binder a certain way. We work with kids a lot on study skills and organization when need be. It's really infused into all of their classes. It's not a separately taught class or curriculum, but through our research that we do as school counselors with like data-driven tools like Google Forms that we have kids fill out, meetings that we have with all the stakeholders like administration. We meet once a week with the entire team of teachers where we discuss students of concern, students that are really struggling with some of these habits. We might pull in a small group of kids that really might need some extra help with studying or might need some extra help being organized. Or working on some of those executive functioning tasks. But like I said, the teachers do a really great job of infusing this into all of their classes right from the beginning to really foster that independence. I would say one of the things I noticed a lot this year that I hadn't experienced my last sixth grade class just because of technology is AI. It'll be something that your teachers will address in the classroom, but I've even had to become more aware of it as a parent. We are all using AI for lots of things now, but students are becoming more aware of how they can use AI to get their work done. What I try to tell the kids is first, teachers are going to notice, and they do. And they address it and they talk to kids about, like the pros and cons of it and why not to use it and et cetera. But also I try to talk to them about if you're using AI all the time and then you go to take the assessment and you're bombing the assessment, it's because you used AI and you're not, authentically learning the things and the skills that you need to. There is a place for AI, but we definitely are seeing an uptick in that kind of stuff. So just to be aware of it. I notice it just in little bits at home where my son is even like, Alexa, what's 6 times this, that, and the other? I'm like, Alexa's not doing your math homework. Like, you need to be doing it to practice so that when it's time for the assessment, you know what to do. But I know Ms. Stevenson said it, like our biggest message is to foster independence. They're we're going to start with baby steps in 6th grade, but our goal is to get them pretty independent by the time they're leaving us. Socially, so middle school, I know I looked in the chat, some people mentioned, they remember the social scene from middle school and how challenging it can be. I would say it's got its differences, and yet there are many things that are still the same. I would say first, get your child involved. It's a great opportunity for them to try new things where there are many more sports that are offered at this level, and they're school-based sports, not just rec leagues. There are so many clubs. Every year the clubs change. We'll send out in the fall a list of clubs when they meet and who the teachers are that are in charge of them. There are just a lot of really great activities. I'll give a personal plug here. I don't know if you can see, the 3 of us are wearing these these sweatshirts today. We coach a team of girls that are called the Girls on the Run. It's a worldwide program that's both yes, it has a running component, but it also has a social emotional connection. And we have a big race this weekend. We're running a 5K with a big group of girls. But there's so many really wonderful things at the middle school that they can get involved in. And we just encourage kids, try new things. You never know what you're gonna find and love, and it's gonna introduce you to other kids, and you're gonna just meet so many other people. It definitely helps build their self-esteem. It helps them become more independent. And it's just, it's a great opportunity that they haven't really had yet in elementary. Bullying, it is a word that we discuss with them. We often hear it from parents. Kids love to throw the word around, not necessarily appropriately. We do talk to them a little bit about more like what bullying means. Certainly there's mean-spirited behaviors in middle school. And kids are going to make mistakes. Again, personal note, like I try to remember that even my kids, they're not perfect. They're trying to navigate this scene too, and they're going to make mistakes. And the best thing you can do is keep that communication open with them. I would say I'll talk a little bit more about technology on the next slide, but technology is our most challenging piece to it, because we can control what we can in school with the kids socially, but once it leaves the building, it's a lot harder for us. And once it's online, it's even more challenging. But, again, keep that communication open, keep it open with us. We're here. We loop with your kiddo for 3 years, and we're here to help you navigate this as well when there are challenges socially. As for social media, so our school policy for cell phones, kids can have a cell phone, but they are to be kept in their lockers for the entire school day. Same goes for smartwatches. Same goes for AirPods. All of those things need to be kept in their lockers at all times. Kids will mistakenly keep a cell phone on them, sometimes purposefully keep a cell phone on them. It will be taken from them if it's seen. Their first offense typically is just it'll be down in the office and they can grab it at the end of the day. It'll be locked up for them. I believe the second offense is it'll be locked up and then they don't get it back until a parent comes to pick it up for them from the front office. And we've had some students that, are repeat offenders and they aren't allowed to have their cell phone here, with them on them during the day. But typically the kids are really great about it and they don't have their cell phones on them. I would say my personal plug as a parent who has failed at this many times is I get in the habit of trying to text my child during the school day to remind him of things and tell him things. And I have to remind myself that he's not supposed to have a cell phone on him. So I should really probably stop texting him. Snapchat, girls, I'm just looking for your input. You would say is our biggest social media platform that's a problem. Yeah. So Snapchat, you can, check and see if your child has a Snapchat account. Many students have many accounts. And it is probably the one that we deal with the most, where things happen perhaps outside of school, but then they come into the building and it becomes our problem when it's taking away from student learning, when it's keeping kids out of class because they need to be perhaps in the school counseling office or, upset about something, then it sort of does become a school-based issue. Snapchat is just one of those things. Things disappear. We don't always see things. Kids screenshot. They get on big group chats. I would just say, as a school counselor and as a parent, monitor. It is your device. You own it. It's on loan to your child whenever you choose to give them that device. And I would spot check them as frequently as you can. I would say the group texts or group chats in Snapchat, but even also just group text messages are where the most problems lie. And just helping kids learn how to communicate online, learn how to use it more effectively. Again, they're going to make mistakes, and just sort of helping guide them through that.
If I can just add in, my biggest piece of advice for phones is to not let your child keep their phone in their bedroom at night.
Definitely.
Have them charge it in your room because nothing good on a phone happens after 10 o'clock. It's even if it's a good conversation, it's keeping them up way past their bedtime. And kids will just scroll, and that's not telling their brain that they need to go to sleep. So if it's in their room, they're going to be on it. So that's my biggest piece of advice, is to not let them keep their phone in the bedroom at night.
And we do a parent coffee, or we have in the past at some point, where we really address social media use. The whole parent coffee is about that. So look for that in the future.
Oh, great. So I'm going to talk a little bit about just how you can set your child up for success before the school year actually even starts. So the more I feel like you can do on the front end, then when we get like the week or a couple of days before school, it releases, kind of reduces those back to school jitters and can have them just kind of set them up for success as they start. So I would start having conversations with your child, but have them now. Like, don't wait until a day before school starts or the week before school starts. Really see how they're feeling. Is there any worries, any concerns, anything, challenges that they're expecting to face, because then you can start planning for some of those things now. I'd also see it kind of like based on how they did maybe in 5th grade. Are there any goals they want to set for themselves? And also talk about challenges that they've overcome in the past. So especially if they're a kid that struggles with transitions, what other transitions have they navigated successfully? Just to kind of remind them that they have these skills already intact. And we're going to kind of like pull off of some of those things that we've already done to as we move forward. Establishing or reestablishing routines. I don't know about anybody else, but I know we have only a couple weeks left of school, and I'm already excited to stay up a little bit later and sleep a little bit later. But I have to do the same thing for myself. I have to get myself back on a schedule. I can't remember what time the elementary school starts, but I think it's around 8:30, and we start our school day. Our doors open at 7:20. So for some kids, that's a really big adjustment. And especially if they're kiddos that are staying up to 11 o'clock at night or later on, over the summer and sleeping till 10, 11 o'clock in the morning, they're really going to struggle if you don't start transitioning them back to a routine earlier on. So maybe 2 or 3 weeks before we get back to school, every couple nights, like pare their bedtime back or make them wake up a little bit earlier, even if it's by 15 to 30 minutes, to start kind of getting their circadian rhythm back like in to where we want it to be and creating a better sleep schedule for them. You also want to talk about kind of morning routines. I feel like sometimes those are a struggle for a lot of kids and a lot of families. There's a lot of moving parts depending on how many people are in your family. So lots of times that can be very stressful and hectic. Maybe talking about, do we need to lay out clothing the night before? Having your child get more independent in terms of maybe at this point they can start making their own lunch, and that's packed at night so it's ready to go in the morning, to help the whole household function a little bit smoother in the mornings as we get ready to get to school and be here by 7:20. Also talk about after school, like, do they have what they need? Are they a kid that really needs a quiet space and where maybe you're trying to figure out electronics? I feel like when kids, the biggest thing when kids are not doing schoolwork or not doing homework more specifically, when we ask them kind of what's getting in the way, they say it's electronics. They're either on their phone, maybe a parent doesn't get home till a couple hours later, they're on their phone, they're playing video games. So maybe start researching. I know a lot of the cell phones, you can shut down those things on phones from your phone as a parent, but they still have access to call you or something if there was an emergency. So maybe trying to figure out all of those pieces and kind of what has led to them not being maybe as successful in elementary school, so that you can kind of problem solve for that for middle school. And just reiterating what your expectations are. What are your expectations for grades? What are your expectations socially and online? And also kind of what are your expectations for family stuff? Like, I feel like sometimes with all the outside activities they do, with all of the homework, there also needs to be a balance between family and home and school. So talking about what that looks like for your family and for your child. Chain of command. So we have a team of people here at McGee to support you and your child, and we just want you to know who those people are and how to access them, and kind of the chain of command to access them. Anything going on in the classroom that's an academic issue or a peer issue, we want you to reach out to that teacher directly. So if there's a problem in math and maybe your child is not doing well in that class, reach out to the math teacher. If maybe your child is coming home and saying that a student is bothering them in ELA class, reach out to the ELA teacher. Each team also has either 1 or 2 teachers that take on like a team leader position. And so they kind of run any of the activities that go on the team. So if there's any team logistics, like if you want to set up a team meeting with your teachers, or there's a field trip coming up, you would reach out to the team leader directly. And then you would reach out to us, usually if there was something going on in the classroom that has not been able to be resolved by talking to the teacher, or if you feel like it's becoming a bigger concern and maybe filtering out to other areas, you would reach out to us. Obviously, if there was some type of emotional issue, maybe your child was struggling to get to school or had some anxiety, or you're worried about depression or some other social peer issues, you could reach out to us. And also if there's stuff going on at home, lots of times if there's stuff going on at home, it affects them here at school. Your child has a sense of confidentiality when they see us, but so do you as parents. So even if we want you to use us as a resource. So if there's things you just want to kind of like bounce off of us for ideas, or you want us to know something just in case something comes up with your child, but maybe you don't want the teachers to know, you can reach out to us for all of those things. And then administration would kind of be the last course of action. Like if there's a behavior, maybe it's a big behavior that happened on the bus or something like that, reach out to administration. But if you obviously didn't get a resolution to whatever your concern was from the teacher or from us, we want you to reach out to administration as well. So we thought it'd be fun to give you some typical middle school scenarios and have you problem solve these. So we're going to give you 2 scenarios, and if you could kind of just write in the chat your response, don't overthink these. Any answer is a great answer because it helps us kind of like have a conversation based on that. But so scenario 1 is your child reports that a student in their class is bothering or teasing them. What is your first step? We have talk to our child is the first one that was written in there. Talk to our child about behavior and the scenario that's leading up to the issue. Absolutely. We want you to gather information and we want your child to feel heard is kind of the first step. Somebody said give some advice to your student on how to resolve it. Also great. I think, yeah, we really want you to ask your child how they think they should handle it. So again, we want to try to foster that independence. So instead of, it's so easy for a parent to run in and tell them what to do and kind of guide, like, we want you to guide them, but we really want it to come from them. So seeing if they can problem solve that situation. And then if that doesn't work, then we want you to reach out to the teacher in the classroom that it's happening in. If it's not happening in the classroom and it's happening somewhere else in the building, you can reach out to us. But we really want the kid to try some things first that they come up with, because that's how they're going to start to gain confidence in themselves that they can handle difficult situations. So our next scenario, and this is one we actually, I feel like every year we have 1 or 2 kids that this happens to. And this is a hard one because when our child is in distress, we get distressed. So the scenario is your child sends you a text during the day saying they are upset and feeling anxious, and they want you to pick them up from school. They sound distressed. What should you do? Same thing, if you could give some feedback in the chat for us. I don't know if people are typing. I'm not seeing anything in the chat. I don't know if anybody wants to be brave and kind of put something out there. Yes, Becky said advise them to speak to the teacher or a counselor first about how they're feeling, talk to the teacher, find out what may be going on. Yeah, so those are all great. Like whenever, just as humans, not even just children, but whenever we get uncomfortable, our go-to strategy is always to avoid or run from whatever the situation is, because it keeps us safe. That fight, flight, freeze kicks in, and usually we want to run from those situations. But when we allow a child to run and when we rescue them, same thing, we're not allowing them to gain that independence, gain those problem solving skills, which eventually is going to bolster their confidence. So we want to kind of put it back on them. And as a parent, sometimes you need to take a deep breath and also use our resources. There's a ton of people here at school that can help your child manage any situation that comes up. So, they're not supposed to have their phones on them. So the first thing that I think of when I hear that is that they're most likely in a bathroom by themselves feeling this way on their cell phones. And that's the last place we want them, because then no teacher or staff member knows where they are. And that becomes a safety concern for us. So the first thing I would do is obviously reassure them, ask them to put their phone away and find a trusted adult. And that's where you can kind of problem solve with them. Like, is that a teacher? They might say like, no, there's too many kids in the class. They're going to know what I'm saying. So then can you go to your counselor? Can you go to the main office and ask them to find somebody for you? So kind of problem solve that piece for them. But really we want them to reach out to somebody here so we can figure out what's going on and try to help them problem solve whatever the situation is, make them feel better so that they continue out their school day. And then after a situation like that, we would, call you and let you know kind of what happened and what our plan of action was. Okay, so now the fun stuff. Sarah talked about this a little bit, all of our clubs and sports. The best way for your child to make friends and feel like they're part of the school community is to get involved. So you'll see a whole list of things here. You will get a list. I think Sarah might have said this already at the beginning of the school year that lists all the clubs and activities and when they start and who the staff member is, who will be running these clubs. A couple of our sports, just to mention, like some of them you have to try out for, but there are track, cross country, wrestling, and volleyball. They can do without any experience, which is great. So if your kid has never been part of a team or is kind of worried because they don't want to try to start something if they've never played before, when some of these kids have been playing like soccer since kindergarten, they can learn and get good at these activities and feel like they're part of something and part of a team. I know volleyball started here at McGee probably about 3 or 4 years ago, maybe. And it's really to help the kids learn. And so my last class I had gone through, who's now up at the high school, a lot of them started volleyball here, had never played before, and now they're playing for the high school team at BHS. So I think it's a great program, and it's a great way for kids to feel like they're part of a team if they've never been part of something like that before. Here are some of the activities just to show you some. I feel like kids sometimes have this like misconception about middle school that it's going to be so difficult and they're not going to do anything fun and it's all academics and their homework is going to increase. And we really try to make middle school as fun as possible for them. So we do that by having various activities that go on throughout the school year. So if you look at the, I don't think you can see my cursor, but if you look at the bottom in blue, there's like kids holding up t-shirts. At the beginning of the school year, we almost have like a big, reminds me of like a Spartan race kind of for kids. It's like an obstacle course set up out on the green space on the side of our school. And the kids break up into teams and it's all about team building. So they have to work together to go through this obstacle challenge. Then throughout the school year, we have spirit weeks where we dress up and everybody dresses up and staff dresses up, which is why we wanted you to see our picture of administration. The kids have a lot of fun with this and the teachers have a lot of fun with this. So if you look at the picture at the top left-hand corner, I don't remember what spirit day that was, but that was one of the spirit days where kids were dressing up. And then if you notice the sweatshirts the girls have on in the picture on the right, they're similar to what we have on today. So those are some of the members of our Girls on the Run team. And again, like there is running involved, but I can tell you most of these girls do not love running. They do it for the social emotional aspect of it. There's a whole curriculum and empowering girls. And they make little goals for themselves. And then they have a 5K at the end, which literally they can walk the 5K if they want to, but it's the idea that they accomplished something that was really, really difficult for them. And the bottom is Common Ground, which is an after school club for kids that are really struggling to make social connections. And it allows them to participate in activities with staff members, other students, and community members. The Berlin Police Department lots of times joins us for these, people from social services. So there's a ton of opportunity for your child to get involved and do something that they enjoy. If it's not after school, then these are things that happen after school or during the school day. And we will talk about this more next year. Usually I feel like at the beginning of every year, we'll do another coffee just on the school counseling program and what we do with your children, because it's so different. I feel like that from the school counseling model from years ago. I don't even know when I was in middle school, if I had a school counselor, if that was available to me. But we really try to get to know your child in a variety of different ways. We go into the classroom. Usually we try about 5 times a year and cover certain topics. So you can see some of the topics listed here. We change and adapt these sometimes based on student needs. If there's things that are coming up that we feel like they're struggling with, then we will go in and kind of give them some psychoeducation on topics. We run several groups throughout the year. We do lunch groups with them as well. We all kind of do that a little bit differently, but where kids can sign up to eat with us and we have games, and it's just a great way for us to get to see them in a different light and them to get to see us in a different light, to get to know them a little bit better. Minute meetings where we meet with kids twice each year individually, but they're very quick meetings, kind of like it's like speed dating, but just so they can get some FaceTime with us and let us know if they need a more private, longer meeting, and then individual meetings. So if your child comes home and says they met with us, or you see a pass or something from us in their binder, do not get alarmed that something happened or that we're worried about something. We will do that with all kids so that we can get to know them. So when something happens or if something happens, they know that we're a resource to them and will feel comfortable coming to us. And that pretty much concludes everything. I think we are right on the hour mark. Contact information is here. We have a Instagram page as well. Ashley is our social media guru and does this for us. So it has lots of tips, and if there's any things coming up in the community, mental health wise, we post on there. But also just things that go on around the school day. So if there's a concert or there's like a like the Grit and Wit, things like that, we post pictures. So follow our Instagram page just to see upcoming events and information, and just to see the kids kind of in their natural habitat throughout the day as there's fun things going on. And then for the remaining time we have left, we'll open it up if you have any questions. If you want, you can type those in the chat, or if you want to unmute yourself to ask questions, we'll take some time to answer any questions you have now.
I think we answered all the questions that I saw in the registration. The only one that I was just thinking of was someone asked, when we meet with students individually, like, what does that look like? So we each have our own office space. Students, we typically meet in our private office just so that the student, we're protecting their confidentiality. Obviously, if a student, like I said, we typically meet one-on-one with a student. If the student was, not comfortable with a one-on-one meeting or meeting in an office, sometimes we meet with kids outside on the picnic table. Sometimes we go for a walk around the building and talk with kids. So we really just meet the students where they're at in terms of their comfort level. But like Jess was saying, we do typically meet with students individually, and then in groups, and then in the classroom as well. But I think that was the only question that I remember from registration.
Somebody had asked when are school sports and clubs and practices. Really depends on what the club or sport is. Most of the clubs go till 3 o'clock, and we actually have a late bus. So if you worked till 5, you don't have to worry about somehow trying to find transportation for your child. They can take the late bus home for usually most of the clubs. Like certain, like Girls on the Run goes a little bit later. We end at 4, and something like that would need parent pickup. And the sports will differ depending on if it's a practice day or if it's they have a meet or something like that, or a game, then that would go obviously a little bit later. But any club, for the most part, usually ends around 3 o'clock so that the kids can take late bus home.
And I think Jess mentioned this too, just so you know, we do a lot of these coffee sessions. Well, not a lot. We do like 3 a year typically, on all different topics. So we will do another one in the fall generally, and then, around winter time, and then we do this one annually. So we do try to connect with parents as many ways as we can, but the coffee sessions are a great way for us to just get information out. So you'll see more information about our next one in the fall.
And we're always looking for feedback. If there's a topic you feel like you would like us to talk about, if there's something you're struggling to deal with or seeing just kind of like a uptick in, you can also reach out to us, because we're always looking for new ideas or like a little information that you're looking for. Kim had asked, will kids have traditional number locks on their lockers? So they have like the little, I don't know if you mean like the little turn ones. So it's like turn to the right to the first number, turn to the left. They will practice that like ad nauseum I would say the first month of school. Like the teachers, the elementary school teachers, sorry, the 6th grade teachers, lots of them were elementary school trained and worked at the elementary school. So they take so much time really like walking your kids around the buildings the first couple of weeks, taking them out to their lockers several times so that they can practice. So they will have that, like where you turn the turn locks. If they're worried about that, you could always buy one of those and practice, but it wouldn't be the same combination. They're going to get their combination when they get here, and those are attached already mostly to the locker for lots of them. So they can't bring their own for that.
Thank you so much, ladies. It was wonderful getting to see you, and for all of the great information that you've provided. It has been very helpful to me. So I thank you very much, and I hope that you have a great rest of your day.
Great.
Thanks, you too,
so much
Sheila.
for joining.
Yeah.
Okay, bye.
Somebody else?
Yeah, I was going to say, somebody put something in about the balance between online assignments versus book or paper assignments that they need to carry with them throughout school. Honestly, it will depend on the class, and it will depend on the grade level.
Depend on the child, I feel like, too, depending on how they structure things.
Yeah. Like currently in 6th grade, ELA and math do have paper assignments, but that they keep with them. But I would say they do more online stuff in general than they do actual paper things. But teachers also know that kids are online so much that they do try to get them offline in their classes, working on things, working in groups, interacting, things like that. But outside the classroom, your child's going to probably in 6th grade carry around a math binder that will come home, and they will have their Chromebook. And other than that, like a folder here and there maybe, but for the most part, it's online.
I had a quick question about the directed study period.
Yeah.
How is it structured? Like, are they with a non-team teacher, and are they allowed to use their Chromebooks during that time? And how is it structured?
They are.
And I do too. I think it's also going to, I don't want to give too much information just because I think it's also changing next year. They're going to be changing the name of it, but it's also changing where it's going to, I believe, happen daily for a shorter period of time. So I don't know if it will look different than what we're telling you now. As of right now, it's on team with their academic teachers, and they can use Chromebooks. It's usually really a time for them to get their homework done. Also seek out teachers for extra help, makeup work, or tests if they've missed something. Some kids will get pulled from teachers for little extra support if they need it. So, but that model is going to change a little bit once they have it every day. And I'm not sure what that's going to look like fully yet because they haven't rolled that out to us.
Oh, so just to clarify, they'll be having that every day next year?
Next year, it sounds like they're going to call it a win block, and they're going to have it every day for 30 minutes instead of the full 45, 50 minutes that they have now.
Great. Thank you.
You're welcome. And I'm assuming that band and chorus might pull from there depending on what kids have in their schedule. So all those pieces are things that we haven't been made aware of yet.
Any other questions?
There was one more that just went in there. What grade did they start tracking, such as kids going to algebra versus pre-algebra?
They start in 5th grade, not necessarily tracking, but they start putting a lot of data together to support where they need to be in their math level. It starts in 5th grade with classroom teachers, with their SBA scores or any other standardized test scores that they have. Their in-class assessments. They meet over the summer with, or not over the summer, over the end of the school year, they meet with the adults that are in charge of math for the district. And they really kind of like look at the kids and where their level should be. And then in 6th grade, there's 2 levels. There's just the standard math class, and then there's the honors class. And then depending on how they do in 6th grade, a change can be made for 7th. And depending on how they do that in 7th, a change can be made for 8th and so on.
I think there's like a rubric that they use to decide the levels based on all of that information. So it's just not one piece of data that they're using to make those decisions.
Yeah.
Any other questions? If you any other questions, feel free to unmute now. If not, just for sake of everybody's time, I know we said this would be an hour and we're a little over now. If there's something that comes up that you think of, like after you get off of this presentation or a question your child has, feel free to like shoot us an email and reach out, and so we can answer some of those things. And if you have other friends that weren't able to make it today, this is recorded, so we will send out a link with a link to this presentation so they can watch it at some other time.
Yeah, and I'll also send out my contact information as well. If you have any questions over the summer, I'll be your direct contact. I check my email very frequently, probably too frequently. So if you have questions, don't hesitate to reach out. But we want to thank everyone for joining us and spending a little time this morning getting to know us and learning about McGee. We're here to support in any way that we can. So we hope that you all have a great rest of your Friday, stay dry, and we hope that you enjoy your weekend.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.